Welcome to Global Watch. Please subscribe and hit the bell icon for more breaking updates. The Supreme Court has struck down key parts of Oregon's Measure 114, a decision that's electrified the national debate over gun rights. This ruling has sent shockwaves through communities across the country, reigniting a fierce and deeply polarized discussion. Gun rights advocates are celebrating, calling it a major win for the Second Amendment, and asserting that it reaffirms their constitutional rights. They argue that this decision protects individual freedoms and prevents government overreach. Meanwhile, gun safety groups warn it's a dangerous setback for public safety. They fear that this ruling will lead to an increase in gun violence and make it harder to implement common-sense regulations aimed at keeping communities safe. The ruling sets a powerful precedent, likely impacting gun laws in over a dozen states and intensifying the legal and political fight nationwide. Legal experts suggest that this decision could open the door for more challenges to existing gun control measures. Measure 114, which had been stalled in court since its narrow passage, is now effectively dead as written. This measure had aimed to implement stricter background checks and limit the sale of high-capacity magazines, but its future is now uncertain. The decision underscores the judiciary's central role in shaping gun policy and ensures the Second Amendment debate will remain front and center in American life. This ruling highlights the ongoing tension between individual rights and collective safety. The battle is far from over. This ruling has only raised the stakes. As both sides prepare for the next phase of this contentious issue, the nation watches closely, knowing that the implications of this decision will be felt for years to come. Measure 114 was a sweeping gun control law, narrowly passed in Oregon after a surge of mass shootings. It banned magazines holding more than 10 rounds, required a permit to purchase firearms, and mandated safety training, background checks, and fingerprinting. Supporters argued these were common-sense steps to save lives, not bans on gun ownership. Opponents saw it as a direct attack on the Second Amendment, criminalizing standard equipment and creating bureaucratic hurdles for law-abiding citizens. The law's ambitious scope and immediate backlash set the stage for a high-stakes legal showdown. Oregon became ground zero in the national fight over gun regulation. Measure 114's journey from the Oregon ballot box to the nation's highest court is a story of democracy, controversy, and the complex intersection of state and federal law. It all began when Oregon voters narrowly approved the measure, sparking immediate debate and uncertainty across the state. The law, which aimed to tighten gun regulations, quickly became a lightning rod for both supporters and opponents, each side convinced that the future of gun rights and public safety was at stake. What followed was a legal roller coaster that would test the limits of the judicial system. Almost as soon as the votes were counted, lawsuits began to fly. Gun rights groups, alarmed by what they saw as an infringement on constitutional freedoms, filed challenges in both state and federal courts. The legal wrangling was intense, with each side assembling teams of lawyers and experts to argue their case. As the law was blocked before it could take effect, the courthouse steps became a battleground. Protesters gathered, waving signs and chanting slogans, while inside, judges weighed complex arguments about individual rights, public safety, and the meaning of the Second Amendment. The legal battles played out in both state and federal arenas, with each court offering a different perspective on the law's constitutionality. In rural Oregon, a state judge ruled that Measure 114 violated the state constitution, siding with those who argued it went too far. Meanwhile, federal courts were divided, with some judges questioning whether the law conflicted with the Second Amendment's protections. The split decisions only fueled the controversy, leaving Oregonians uncertain about what the law actually meant for them. The Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals eventually weighed in, striking down the magazine ban portion of the law and sending the permit requirement back for further review. This partial decision satisfied no one. Gun rights advocates felt their freedoms were still under threat, while supporters of the law believed it didn't go far enough to protect communities. With both sides frustrated, Oregon's Attorney General and gun rights groups each filed appeals, determined to get a final, definitive answer. The stakes had grown beyond Oregon, as legal experts and activists across the country watched closely, knowing that the outcome could set a precedent for gun laws nationwide. In October 2025, the Supreme Court agreed to hear the case, thrusting Measure 114 into the national spotlight. The decision to take up the case signaled that the justices recognized its far-reaching implications, not just for Oregon, but for the entire country. as crowds gathered on the steps of the Supreme Court and the nation's eyes turned to Washington. The stage was set for a landmark decision that would shape the future of gun laws in America. The Supreme Court, in a 6-3 decision, struck down Measure 114's magazine ban and permit-to-purchase requirement. Justice Thomas, writing for the majority, said Oregon failed to show these restrictions fit the nation's historical tradition of gun regulation. The court found that magazines over 10 rounds are common for lawful self-defense, and that the permit system imposed unconstitutional barriers. The majority compared these hurdles to unconstitutional restrictions on other rights, like voting. In dissent, Justice Sotomayor accused the majority of ignoring modern realities and tying states' hands in addressing gun violence. The ruling cements a strict, history-based test for gun laws, leaving little room for modern regulations. The majority's opinion, led by Justice Thomas, doubled down on the history and tradition test gun laws must align with those from the 18th or 19th centuries. The court rejected Oregon's arguments, saying magazine bans and broad permit systems have no historical precedent. Standard capacity magazines, the court said, are widely owned for self-defense and can't be banned based on misuse by a few. The permit system, requiring training, fingerprinting, and open-ended background checks was was deemed unconstitutional prior restraint. The message to states' modern safety concerns don't justify laws lacking clear historical roots. The decision signals a tough road ahead for new gun control measures. Justice Sotomayor's dissent painted a starkly different picture, warning the majority's rigid approach endangers public safety. She argued the founders couldn't have foreseen today's firearms, and that states need flexibility to address modern threats. The dissent defended magazine limits and permits as reasonable data-backed tools to save lives. Sotomayor warned the ruling will have tragic consequences, tying the hands of lawmakers and ignoring the human cost of gun violence. Millions who support stronger gun laws now feel the court is out of touch with their reality. The decision's impact will ripple across politics, business, and society. Politically, it energizes both sides. Democrats push for court reform and new laws, while Republicans hail a win for gun rights. 13 states with similar laws now face legal challenges, and gun retailers in Oregon avoid costly new regulations. The ruling deepens the urban-rural divide, fueling mistrust and making compromise harder. Law enforcement faces new confusion over what's enforceable, and public trust in the system is further strained. The gun debate isn't settled, it's entering a new, more contentious phase. Legal experts say the ruling cements the Bruin history and tradition test, making it tough for states to pass new gun laws. Some warn this approach freezes gun regulation in the 18th century, stifling innovation and leaving states powerless against modern threats. Others argue the decision restores the Second Amendment's original meaning, forcing government to justify any restrictions. Policy analysts fear legislative paralysis, as states hesitate to pass laws likely to be struck down. Sociologists warn the ruling will widen the rural-urban divide, making national consensus on gun violence even harder. The decision's legacy: a nation more divided, and a legal landscape in flux. The Supreme Court's ruling is not the end, but the start of a new chapter in America's gun debate. This landmark decision has set the stage for a complex and multifaceted battle over gun rights and regulations, one that will unfold in courtrooms, legislative halls, and communities across the nation. Gun safety advocates must rethink strategy, perhaps shifting focus to federal laws or alternative interventions. They will need to mobilize grassroots support, engage in public education campaigns, and work tirelessly to influence policymakers. The challenge is immense, but so is the resolve of those committed to reducing gun violence. Gun rights groups will use this precedent to challenge similar laws nationwide, moving from defense to offense. They see this as an opportunity to expand gun rights further, advocating for fewer restrictions and greater freedoms. Their efforts will likely lead to a patchwork of laws that vary significantly from state to state. The legal and political landscape is more uncertain than ever, with states, lawmakers, and citizens left to navigate the fallout. Each state will have to grapple with its own set of challenges, balancing public safety concerns with constitutional rights. The media will play a crucial role in informing the public and shaping the discourse. The responsibility now falls to the public. Stay informed, engage in debate, and participate in democracy. Town hall meetings, public forums, and community discussions will be vital in ensuring that all voices are heard. Voting in local and national elections will be more important than ever, as citizens decide the future direction of gun laws. The future of gun regulation will be shaped not by one ruling, but by ongoing dialogue and civic action. It will require a sustained effort from all sides, with a focus on finding common ground and workable solutions. Civic groups and organizations will need to foster collaboration and understanding among diverse stakeholders. The path ahead is uncertain, but it's one we must walk together. As a nation, we must remain vigilant, committed to the principles of democracy, and dedicated to creating a safer, more just society for all.